I'm KVUE senior reporter Tony Plohetski, joined today by Division Chief Carrie Stewart of the Austin Fire Department's Wildfire Division. We wanted to talk to you because as we are watching, these incredible and frightening images are coming in from Southern California, where large fires are burning across Los Angeles. We're reminded that Austin has its own risk of wildfires, and it's important for people who live here to know about. Joining us again is Chief Stewart from AFD. And first of all, I want to just start by talking about the fact that a wildfire in Austin is not just a hypothetical. We've had wildfires that have consumed homes here in Austin over the past decade, right?
We have. Our wildfire division started in 2012 after the fires that we had in 2011. So we all think about the Bastrop Complex fire, but we did have fires in Steiner Ranch at the Y in Oak Hill, so in that area southwest Austin. So we have had some larger events in Austin, nothing like what we're comparing to in California right now, but we have had some smaller versions of that in the Austin area.
But that Steiner Ranch wildfire, for example, destroyed like 24 homes, and the Oak Hill fire destroyed, around a dozen homes. They were still serious events.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we were able to contain those in smaller pieces, but yes, those are the events that could get out of hand given the right conditions.
At the same time, Austin is not Los Angeles. There are very big differences, but also some similarities. Can you just talk about those similarities? What conditions do we have that are similar to Los Angeles that could make a wildfire, can make conditions right for a wildfire here?
Sure. When we think about the environmental influences for a wildfire event, we think about fuels, weather, and topography. We are often compared to California with some of our topography. Austin is split kind of on the I-35 corridor between our grasslands on the east and our more rolling hills, more trees and shrubs on the west side of town. So while our topography may look like California to some degree, our fuels are a little bit different here. We have the ash juniper, we've got more the oak trees. So the topography may be similar, and then we have some weather similarities as well. We do tend to be a little bit higher in our humidities here, which is a good thing for us. With the Gulf of Mexico being an influence for us, our weather is a little bit different as well. So while our topography is kind of the main thing that we're compared to California for, our fuels are a little bit different here and our weather patterns are much different than we see in California.
So I bought a house a couple of years ago here in Austin, and this map is one of the main things that I was thinking about as we were doing our own home search. And this morning I was sending it actually to friends saying, type in your address and see where you rank in terms of wildfire risk. Can you just talk generally about what we are seeing and what the different colors indicate on this map?
Sure. So this is our wildfire risk map. You can find this at atxwildfirehub.com. And like you said, you can plug in your address and see what kind of WUI or wildland urban interface risk area you live in. So the red would indicate a higher risk level, and as we get to the lighter colors or white, that would indicate a lower risk level depending on several factors that went into creating this map.
So what did go into, by the way, creating this map?
Sure. So we look at structural density, so how close together those homes are and how many are in a given area. We look at the slope of the land, so again, talking about that topography. So depending on how severe a slope might be, could we even put firefighters in that area to work on that terrain? It might be too steep for people to work on, so that's one of our factors. The fuel type goes into play. And those are the main three that we're looking at. So the structural density, the slope, and the fuel types are what we're looking at there.
So of course, as we look at city center, the risk is pretty low.
Yes.
Not surprising though, as you go to the west of downtown, it goes up precipitously, and in fact, in the bright red zone in a lot of that area.
As we get closer to that interface between our built environment and the wildlands, you'll see that the risk does go up. Again, we don't have as much, we do have a lot of beautiful greenery downtown in Austin, but as we get out towards the edges of town, our structural density increases there, and we also have that interface with the wildland environment too.
And yet there are thousands of homes, as we know, in this area. One thing that has always surprised me as I have looked at this map though, if we can now push to the east, and that is East Austin and eastern Travis County, while it may have a very different topography from western, it's still got a considerable amount of orange and red in that area as well.
Yes, and we'll see different fire environments in the different parts of town as well. So on the east side, the fires might not be as severe or as intense, so maybe lower flame lengths, and it's not going to be as hot maybe over there, but they're going to be much faster moving because it's more grassland areas. On the west side, we would see a slower moving fire, but more intense just because we have more fuel type over there. We have the trees, taller trees and thicker trees. So different fire environments go along with that different topography.
But just because you maybe live east and assume that the risk is greater to the west, that is not necessarily
would not be accurate. Yeah. Still recommend that you plug in your address and see what your risk is over there on the east side. But we would see faster moving fires on that side as well, which brings its own challenge.
I want to talk about preparedness both as a homeowner, but also about the fire service and how AFD and other fire departments in this area have prepared for a possible major wildfire. I know you mentioned that AFD set up an entire division devoted to this in 2012.
We do have our wildfire division. We work very closely with our ESD partners and our landowners across the city and the county to let our communities and even those city landowners know how to prepare their properties. Even though our maps may be a little discouraging and they do frighten a lot of people, we want people to know that there are a lot of things that they can do to harden their own homes that are inexpensive. They're pretty easy to do. Some of those are as simple as, especially when we're having an increased severity event. So if we go like a higher wildfire danger on a given day because of heat or humidity or wind, making sure that the 0 to 5 foot area around your home is free from leaf litter. So anywhere the leaves might collect on your front porch, making sure that that's clean, because those are where those embers that are prevalent in a wildfire are going to collect and could ignite a fire at your home. Making sure your gutters are cleaned out year round, making sure that your trees are trimmed away from your homes. We recommend about 8 feet so that we can't have a tree ignite and then catch your house on fire. And then if you have any vent openings in your home, like in your attic spaces, we recommend putting an 1/8 inch mesh on the inside so that as those embers are moving around during a wildfire event, they can't get into your attic and start an ignition inside.
Oh, that's really interesting. And then as a government entity, as the Austin Fire Department, how have you all prepared to respond to a major wildfire?
So beyond our division, we have trained all of our firefighters in what's called 130-190, which is a basic wildfire qualification level. So all of the Austin Fire Department, all of our new trainees come in with that 130-190. We've also just finished a 2.5-year effort to teach everyone what's called responding to the interface. And that's a new program that's geared towards teaching structural fire departments how to operate within that urban interface environment. So very different fighting, say, just a single house fire compared to what we're seeing firefighters in Los Angeles fight right now. So those are very different environments. We haven't had a lot of those events here. So our Rolodex of events to pull from for how to manage those types of events and how to fight those fires isn't as great as we would see for our Rolodex for fighting a house fire. So that responding to the interface is to teach structural departments how to use the equipment and the apparatus they have in a structural environment in that interface, that wildland-urban interface environment. So all of our department, it took us 2.5 years to get through that, but we're the largest municipality in the country that has put their firefighters through that training. And then we also have, within the last 3 years, a wildfire battalion. So it's a specialty battalion within AFD. It's been in existence for 3 years, but as of this year, we'll be expanding that battalion as well to include more stations and bracket the city a little bit better for our wildfire response.
I want to talk about water too, which, it can be a challenge on a good day. Yeah. What about water? Is there ample water in this area to fight a major wildfire?
So because we are a large municipality, we do have a great hydrant and great water infrastructure for fighting our run-of-the-mill house fire or a 2-alarm fire or 3-alarm fire. We do see those several times throughout the year. I think with a large event like we're seeing in Los Angeles right now, and just like with flooding, with a tornado, we should expect that in any environment, any municipality, if you have a large wildfire event, we could compare it to a natural disaster just like any of those others, and we should expect to have infrastructure challenges, whether that's electricity or water. So with these large events, infrastructure challenges are going to come along with that.
So as we go into summer and coming months, and you live in Austin and you maybe live in one of those elevated or high-risk zones, what should go through your mind? I mean, should you wake up and think, is this the year, is this the summer that this is going to happen? Or should this just sort of be something in the back of your mind? How do you sort of calibrate that?
I think we would like for people to be thinking about it in a preparedness frame of mind all the time. There are times of year, you'll notice we have the Smokey Bear signs outside all of our stations. Those are the National Fire Danger Rating System, or NFDRS. You'll see that start creeping up at different times throughout the year. When we are in higher fire danger, we want people to be thinking about it a little bit more. But we also want you to be thinking about preparedness throughout the year for any type of event. So for wildfire specifically, those items that we've already talked about, making sure your gutters are cleaned, that you don't have leaf litter around your house, that it's well maintained. Following our WUI code, so we do have a code in Austin for building and remodels that we want people to be voluntarily following, even if they're not in a red zone, like the map we've showed. But thinking about that preparedness, talking about it with your family, just like you would for any kind of emergency event, and making sure that you have a plan. And that you've signed up for emergency alerts as well. If we think about the evacuations that we've seen in California, we've been working very closely with our Homeland Security and Emergency Management partners on evacuation processes and managing people in an evacuation event. So we do want people to go to warncentraltexas.org and sign up to receive emergency events, so that if you were to receive an evacuation order in your area, you'd be able to get those notifications.
But the bottom line for people, tens of thousands of people who have moved to this area since 2011, who may not know of the risk, there is a risk.
There is a risk. We are often compared to California with the amount of wildfire risk that we have. Again, we don't want people to be frightened by that. We want folks to recognize that there are a lot of little things that you can do on a daily basis throughout the year to help mitigate that risk at your own home.
Thank you so much for your time and for this information, Division Chief Carrie Stewart. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.